So let's talk about depreciation, how it works. So the way I like to do this is I'm just a layman. I'm just a guy. I buy real estate. I'm not very smart. So I'm going to explain it as simply as possible in non-tax language. And then I want you, Mitchell, to elaborate and correct me wherever I'm wrong. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Okay, so depreciation, if you run a company and you buy something, generally you deduct it year one. If I buy this mouse, I buy a computer, I just write it off. That year it's a deduction, it's a cost. Um, but a building is different. This building that I'm in, it's a house, it has windows, it has floors, it has doors. The government says I can't deduct it all in year one. This is a residential building. I can deduct it over 27 and a half years. Or every year, 3.63% of the value of the property I can deduct against my taxes. Commercial real estate's 39 years, 2.53% of the value. And let's go through an example. Let's say I buy a $1 million commercial building divided by 39 years. That's $25,600 every year that I get to deduct against my taxes, ongoing to offset my income, basically. That's a pretty good bonus because when you're buying $1 million building, you expect maybe $60,000, $70,000 of taxable income from it. So a pretty big chunk written off. Um, yeah, with anything I'm missing here, if it generates $60,000 of net operating income, 42% of my net operating income is shielded from this what we call straight line depreciation.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you take that like stapler, which is just kind of any asset that you buy under $2,500 hits this safe harbor. So whether it's a MacBook Pro or a stapler or, a Rima paper, these are all considered
Or
consumable
wages, like
items.
labor wages, yeah, all
Well,
of it.
labor, yeah, and labor is generally expensed anyway, but I'm talking about things that you're going to hold around your office for the next
Yep.
40 years. I mean, you walk into one of those dusty old offices with the 60-year-old stapler, they wrote that off the year they bought it, even though they're going to own it for forever. But when you get into to expenses or expenditures, I should say, that are above $2,500, like real estate or like a
Car.
Ford F-150, yeah, you start to get into this is a capital asset. This is going to have to be consumed over time based on the tax code, whether that's 5 years, 7 years, 15 years, or, in
Useful
the
life, basically. The government tells us how long the useful life is, and we can deduct a percentage of it every
and
single year.
so even the status quo of real estate, if you buy $1 million building and you get to deduct 25 grand a year, that's why they say real estate is the best business in the world, because you just sit there and you chew up your net operating income, and you can go borrow money against it tax free, and you can hold it forever and step it up. But then we're going to get into, bonus depreciation, which really
Yeah, imagine if
steps
you
this
worked
up.
to imagine how much more money you'd be able to keep over a career if 42% of your W-2 income was shielded from taxes.
That's pretty good.
That's just straight line depreciation. That's one of the really powerful parts of this, but it goes a step further. So the government says this home I'm in has a 27-year lifespan, but there's a lot of parts of it that have a quicker depreciation span and a shorter useful life. The landscaping, the sidewalks, the parking lots, the stormwater infrastructure, the earthwork, the carpeting, the accessory electrical, the appliance, the movable walls, the overhead doors, the windows, the HVAC, the hot tub sitting out back, the deck I built. I'm really good at building decks. All these things have shorter lifespans, and they're what the government calls 1245. Is that the name of it?
1245 property as opposed to 1250, which is the foundation of the building, the steel beams that are ratcheted into the foundation, the roof sitting on top of it. Even if you don't expect a roof to last 39 years, the government tells you that the roof is going to last 39 years. The way that you expect the sidewalk to last longer than 15. This we're dealing with the government. So what's really going to happen doesn't actually matter. It's just what they tell you. So
So then there's this thing called bonus depreciation, and so a certain percentage of cost in the first year of an asset is put into service is eligible for what we call bonus depreciation. In 2023, it was 80%. In 2024, it is 60%. So 60% of all this 1245, we put a dollar value on all this stuff with a shorter lifespan. What is the amount of accelerated, we call it accelerated depreciation. Mitchell, talk us through this self-storage example, and we'll go through of kind of how this looks in practice of this shorter lifespan policy. Basically, some engineers go through and they put a dollar value on all this stuff. They say, okay, the stormwater is worth this, the HVAC is worth this, the sidewalks are worth this. We have all these dollar figures of this shorter lifespan stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So, this is easy when you're um, backing up to bonus depreciation in 2001. This is really when this idea hit vogue for taxes. 9/11 happened. There was an immediate like crash in the economy, and it was a big problem, and the uh, Congress and the administration realized at that point in time they could stimulate the economy by just like you said, the government likes people to go build stuff. They like people to build and maintain and operate real estate. And so they said, hey, here's a great way to get people to buy Ford F-150s. We're going to make them bonus depreciable. And furthermore, here's a great way to get people to go build real estate. We're going to make it all bonus depreciable. And so some form of this bonus depreciation, which just means even though it's a bigger asset than $2,500, it's a $50,000 truck, you're going to place it into service and you're going to get some chunk of depreciation right off day one, whether it's 20% or 50% or 100%. And so then in 2017, the Tax Cuts Jobs Act was passed. It brought in a new paradigm of bonus depreciation on used property. You used to have to buy a new truck to get bonus, or you used to have to build a new building to get bonus. And in 2017, they waved a magic wand and you could buy a 1970s storage facility and get another crack at bonus depreciation. And it was at 100%. Now we'll talk about how it's stepped down over time. But still, this new bonus concept now means that, like you mentioned, and we'll get into cost segregation studies, but you start to take components of the building that are shorter life and you get a much, much faster depreciation.
Well, you put a dollar amount on them first. So
you put a dollar amount on them.
You say that window right there is worth $300.
That sidewalk is worth X dollars a square foot in its current condition.
$7 a square foot for pavement. We have decking and patios that are $20 a square foot.
We
assign a value to all these things. And here's an example of a self-storage facility where we bought a property for $1 million. I bought this building, I think it was 2022. The land value cannot be depreciated. It has an unlimited useful life. So there is no schedule for the land. So you have to put a value on that land. It's very important. Let's say $200,000 in this example. So we had $800K that we spent on this building. The engineers came in, they looked at all the movable doors, they looked at all the overhead doors, they looked at the movable walls, they looked at the pavement, they looked at the bollards, they looked at the landscaping, they looked at the sidewalks, the stormwater, and they said, that stuff is all worth $240,000. So $240,000 of the $800,000 is 5 to 15 year or 1, 2, 4, 5 property, and it can be accelerated, depreciated way quicker on faster schedules. So $240K is our amount that's bonus eligible, of which 60% or $144K in 2024 can be taken as a year one deduction.
Back in 2022, Massive. It was 100%. It was a simpler time. It was a better time, but here we are.
Yeah, we want to talk
these calls were a lot more fun back then. But
no, I mean, this is still
massive. Still a meaningful amount, and in the broad scheme of things, like this is a timing difference. We'll talk about recapture, but like the idea that you can go, so you go buy this property and you take leverage to do it. So you go take, 50%, 60% leverage to go buy a property like this. So it doesn't cost you $1 million in cash to buy $1 million self-storage facility. It's 400,000 of equity to buy this $1 million storage facility. And, the year one, you get
$84,000 loss, 8.4% of purchase price. But if you finance half of it, which is a conservative debt amount, you're getting 16.8% of the money you put down in the form of a tax write-off, and you're shielding basically 2 years. You're shielding 2 years of net operating income that's coming in. So
And you're still
this is the
getting
main method.
depreciation along the way. Or,
Yeah, year
you'll
two,
get
year three, year four, year five, you'll get even more. So that's actually these
yep.
numbers are not quite right, but um, this is how folks, including the ex-president of the United States, soon to be in the election, made all that money back in 2016 and claimed a $700 profit on his taxes. Everybody freaked out. This is exactly how you buy real estate every year. You start to depreciate it. This is what families do to protect their assets.
Yep.
And what they have done for a long time. So this is massive.
Big news, guys. I created a free PDF that details my method on how I analyze a self-storage facility and figure out what it's worth. Give me a pen, the back of a napkin, and a couple metrics, and I can figure out about what the property is going to be worth to me. If you want to download this PDF, click in the show notes, the first link, and you can give me your email address, and you get a email right away with 4-page PDF that outlines exactly how I think about underwriting or giving my initial analysis on a self-storage facility. Again, click the link in the show notes, and you're going to get that document for free. This episode of The Nick Huber Show is brought to you by RE CostSeg. If you want to maximize your bonus depreciation and minimize your tax liability, make sure to do a cost segregation study on real estate you've recently acquired. RE CostSeg offers the lowest priced, fully engineered studies in the business, and you get a virtual site visit with a quick turnaround. They did 30 plus cost seg studies for me over the past year, including a short-term rental, along with my self-storage facilities. And I'm also an investor in the business, along with my good friend and CPA, Mitchell Baldridge, who you all know. To learn more about how bonus depreciation works, listen to episode 75 of The Nick Huber Show, or visit recostseg.com to go ahead and get a free proposal that outlines the cost of the study and your potential savings. Thanks again, recostseg.com.